Hello beer tubers and welcome to yet another beer review or discussion, I guess, with me, Peter, the master of hoppets, today looking at a set of beers made by Skanderborg Bryghus in collaboration with the Danish beer enthusiasts. De danske øllentusiaster. Basically the Danish version of something like Camera in the UK. If you're from Denmark, you know of them. I think they have them in Sweden too. A organization that by a lot of microbreweries have gotten a lot of critique over the years for not being too inclusive and also for their big election where they elect the best beer of a given year, and they also elect the best brewery. The problem with it is a lot of people don't only, I think it's like 20% of the organization votes, and local departments vote only for local breweries, and it's like a lot of the beers that win are very mediocre. It's like kind of the beer for the masses that win, like stuff that everyone can get in the supermarket. And I just don't think it's fair to a lot of the breweries that make some really exceptional stuff. Now, this has been critiqued a lot. So recently they came up with a new thing that they call the beer elections. And they'll do this the next 3 years. They'll host a beer election where they dictate which brewery makes a given style and sub-styles of beer that you can vote on which style is best. What the hell? That's even worse. That's like dictatorship. Like they decide everything. It's like, come on. You could ask so many breweries to participate in something like this, and there's so many ways of doing it. But I think we'll just give them a go first here. I've never had any beer from this brewery. I think it's a rather large-sized brewery, mainly making supermarket-style craft beer. And the reason why they, of course, picked a brewery like that to work with is because, then they can get it out all over the country. But the first election here is with IPAs. So what they did is they made 3 different IPAs in the collaboration with Skanderborg Bryghus. And they did a classic English IPA called the Lange Sørejse, or the Long Seafair, I guess. A classic English IPA. Then they did this one called The Bitter Hops, which is a West Coast IPA, Bitre Humler. And they did this one lastly, the new Humle juice, the new hop juice, which is a US New England IPA, not just a New England IPA. The only reason why they put that, I'm sure, is because they don't want to confuse the ordinary Danish person shopping in the supermarket, because it says New England and this says English IPA. I'm pretty sure, but silly. But so this will be interesting to try. They're all organic, it looks like. Organic beers. So I guess that's kind of cool, but just because it's organic doesn't mean it's good. So I think we'll start off with the classic English IPA. It says that you can vote, so this election is like you can buy the beers, try them, and everyone, not just people in the organization, can vote for which one is best, and that will be the winning style. It's to put the focus on the given beer styles. So this says, it just says that it's, a competition, and it's a classic English IPA, and then it's got like those kind of classic British indicators of sweetness and bitterness and mouthfeel and all that. This is 40 IBUs, copper color, 5%. Let's just start off with the classic English one. See how maybe they're actually nice beers. I don't know. I mean, they're, I've never had beer from this brewery, so we shouldn't be too harsh. But I haven't heard the best. It is definitely copper colored. It's got that like copper orangey glow. It's got an off-white head. Let's see on the aroma. Very, very mild, very malty. Yeah, you could fool me it just smells something like, classic English IPA, or maybe like an amber ale of sorts, actually. It's the one thing I think it's missing, though, is it could have more esters. Like, usually the classic English beers, especially like on cask, they have a good amount of like fruity esters. This is just like slightly caramel malty aroma, and there's like next to no hop character. It's like just a generic, maybe grassy hop character, or hedgerow-like or something. Let's try, guys. Cheers. I knew it! This is the lowest common denominator beer. This might as well be made by one of the big breweries like Royal Unibrew or Carlsberg. It's watery. It's thin. There's no off flavors. That's a big point, though. But it's boring. It just tastes like stripped from ingredients. Like holding back on so many different ingredients because you can't You can't go all in because there's a price in mind, because it needs to go to all supermarkets, and these supermarkets won't pay for, premium beer with more ingredients because it's more expensive. It's going to be harder to sell. They think. I think it's such a shame when you try to do something like this that you have to do it according to price. It's like thin, it's watery, dry, very bready, very malty. There's like next to no hop character on this. Slightly grassy maybe, but yeah. And there is a bit of an ester, but it's super light. It's slightly jammy. This does not bode well at all. It's not, a terrible beer. It's just fucking boring. So let's try and move on to the West Coast IPA. What? That's 50 IBUs, and this is 40. I think most West Coast IPAs would be more bitter, like at least 70. But we'll see. And this it shouldn't be sweet at all, whereas the other one is sweeter, more aroma. But there's not really anything, in terms of description. Water, barley, malts, hops, and yeast. That's what it says. No mention of hops or nothing. And you can scan a QR code to get to the election. But check out the aroma on this one. It's, first color. It's a bit more clear. It does look like a West Coast IPA, like a nice clear copper color, like orange, slightly copper. Also slight off-white head. Let's check out the aroma on this one. For fuck's sake. Oh, it's so mild. Like a West Coast IPA is supposed to jump at you and be in your face, with that big, bold grapefruit and pine and pithy nuances. It's like just everything dialed down. It almost smells like when you get old bottles of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale here, to be honest. It's probably also 5.4%, a little bit stronger. There's also a really the interesting caramel, kind of slightly grainy, almost grainy, caramelly, malty note in there. But they'd probably use caramel malt instead of Munich malt or something for the color. I'm not sure, but it just has a touch more malt sweetness than, a lot of West Coast IPAs. But I will say it smells better than the other one. Let's try it. Cheers. Seriously, it's just like buying the Carlsberg, Albany Mosaic IPA, or Carlsberg's freaking whatever they did, that series of can of IPAs, IPA, and they did a wit beer and all kinds. It just tastes like beer that's brewed to a price. It really does. It is so boring and just lacking interesting character. I get scared of the New England IPA because these you can kind of get away with it, but New England IPAs you need to use so much hops, especially in dry hopping. So we'll see how that is. It's bitter, again that kind of grainy caramel malt. The only hop flavor really that is there is a bitterness. There's bitterness to it, but there's not a very distinct hop character. The hop character that is there, maybe slightly grapefruity and zesty or something, but it's so light. It is so light. This is max 2.5 grams of hops to 5 grams of hops per liter. And I don't know how they do their dry hopping regimes at this brewery or hop additions at all. It just tastes so devoid of character. There must be something like 2.5 grams per liter or just a little bit more, just because it has to go into the supermarkets, probably, and also to be brewed at that price, because I think they're 27 some crowns per bottle. Yeah, massive disappointment. I think this will be a disappointing one too. Let's move on to New England IPA. This is apparently 0 IBUs, 5.2%. They have wheat and oats in this one. Let's try and get some mouthfeel, I guess. But not much else in terms of info. And it is, lightly hazy, but it looks like the haze is dropping out a little bit. So I wonder what yeast they use for this. It's hard to say, I don't know. But it does have a little bit of haze, but nothing crazy. Whitehead, let's check out the aroma. And that's the weakest of the bunch. So it says 0 IBUs. I guess it will have some IBU still, like bitterness. Even though you dry hop, you get bitterness. It's just not really calculated. It's just different kind of bitterness. This is the weakest of the bunch, though, and this should be the one that should have the most expressive aroma. But this kind of just smells like nothing. Like, it just smells like beer. There's like next to no character to it. It's pretty amazing that you could make beer that smells like this little. There might be a hint of a citrus, but it is so devoid of character, just like the others, but even more so. It seems more soulless than the rest. Let's try it. Cheers. That's a fucking disgrace for the style, man. That is no way near anything that, resembles a New England IPA. It tastes like a blonde ale, like a slightly hazy blonde ale. There's next to no hop flavor. There's a little bit of a citric vibe or an elderflower or something, but the hop character is so tiny on this that I think if you gave this to a lot of people blind, they would never think this is a New England IPA, because New England IPAs are known for expressive, juicy hop character, and this has none of that. This is such a fucking disgrace. These are not worth spending time and money on if you just have tried any, this is, I think it's a shame to introduce this like as entry-level beer for people too, because it's just not what these styles can be. These styles can be really nice. This is just like taking the styles and then sucking out all character of all three variants of IPA here, and then just, leave it with like a kind of mass-produced example, which is a fucking shame. This is just as bad as the fucking anarchist and, Carlsberg, attempts at making these kind of beers for supermarkets. It's exactly the same. I would actually probably prefer their beers over these, to be honest. Yeah, 5.2% alcohol on this one, so it's also on the low end. All of them are on the lower end of ABV, but I'm pretty sure they're afraid that they can't sell slightly stronger beer, and then also, you can cut some cost if you don't add as much malt and everything, so get it up in as high a ABV range. But man, this is fucking stupid. This is the most retarded thing that the Danish beer enthusiasts have thought of or conjured up in a long time. I don't understand why they would not try to include microbreweries in this. Like, they're supposed to be an organization that's for, spreading the word about all these craft breweries. This seems more like just kind of like a cash grab for themselves and trying to do something new, so they make an agreement with one, random brewery. The best way to have done this would have been to make this beer election and then said, like, the breweries that want to participate can participate and try and make, an example of one of the given styles, and then they could send it in, and then the local departments can vote or something like that, or just like vote in, like members can vote in which ones needs to go into the final round of the election, and you'd have 3 finalists, but from different breweries in different categories, because some breweries like Gamma Brewing would excel at making the New England IPA. Bryghus would excel at making a West Coast IPA, for example. I don't know, I can't remember any, brewery right now doing classic English IPAs, but then you could get some different breweries to partake in it too. I think there's massive room for improvement on this, just because also the beer is so boring. I know they want to try and get it out to as many people as possible, but I think that could be done still if you, make a deal with these supermarkets. Because I think it's rather retarded, and I think it's a shame, because this is totally not what these styles are supposed to be. It's just like dulled down, mass-marketed versions, pretty much. This could be just like drinking any other bigger brewery's craft series of beers. I think it's a fucking disgrace and a fucking shame that they're doing this. And I really hope that they're going to try and rethink this for the next time, because they're going to do another election next year. Because this is just not the way to do it at all. This is kind of like them doing their own thing, and the problem with it is that there's such a big spokesperson or spokes company or organization for beer in the country. So a lot of people who don't know much about beer will take this at face value from them. And this is just a disgrace in terms of examples of styles compared to what it could have been. So I think it's a shame, and I think it should be redone, and I hope they will. So those are my 2 cents. If I would rate these, I mean, I would grade them around 2.75, I think, on Untappd. So that'd be something like the 60s. They're not bad beers and terrible beers, but they're so devoid of character that it's not something I would ever drink. This was something I would drink to get drunk, that's it, pretty much. So, yeah, it's a shame. I'm going to pour the rest down the drain on all of these because it's pretty fucking boring and, yeah, stupid. So, this organization, I don't know what the fuck they're doing at the moment. It's been like this for so long now. They should try to get their fucking A game back. Whew! Danish beer enthusiast seems to be like, you know, a sinking ship on the long journey home, or whatever this beer is called, the long sea voyage. Because this is, yeah, disappointing. So, that's my 2 cents on that, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little rant. I thought I'd just share my thoughts because a lot of people are talking about this right now. I wanted to see if it is as boring and, you know, devoid of character, and it was. So, thanks for tuning in. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos, and let me know what you think of this whole idea of a beer election and the way they've done it and just the beers themselves, because I think most of you guys will agree with me. So, cheers and nothing, and see you guys in another beer review.